Thank you, everybody. Welcome to the Groundsman, where we have all the conversations around cricket, school cricket. What are the young guys doing? What's the season going to look like? What's Coke Week going to look like? We talk everything stats, and right now we've got a fantastic coach from Dale College, all the experience in the world. Coach, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, and thanks for having me.
Absolutely welcome. I think we'll jump straight into the first question, man. I think the young guys are looking to get into your side, get into your first team. I think there's a massive anticipation for the season coming up. And I think the first question we have to ask, and probably a lot of the boys are looking to find out, is what should the players be focusing on leading up to the new season?
For me, it's basically two simple things. Which one is fitness. So on a normal school year, we wouldn't have to worry too much about fitness, as we have boys playing hockey, boys playing rugby, and the interchange between those sports into cricket is almost like a week in between. So there's not too much time lost in between. But at these trying times now, you got to focus on fitness because boys haven't played sport in so long. So for me, one, it's being fit. Not looking at a player that's going to be able to run 10Ks. No, that's not the kind of fitness that I want. For me, it's short and sharp, sprints here, sprints there, still focusing on being able to achieve a certain act. So as much as you're running, the running is followed by a batting drill. Because for me, I believe that a good cricketer's got to perform when they're most tired. So whilst we're running and doing the fitness, I'm still testing you mentally to focus on a specific drill. Make sure that you're doing it 100%. Go back into running and go back and complete another drill. So we work on two different aspects, but under one session. Because I'm not a firm believer as a coach that fitness is a 2-hour session where boys are just running. Because you do that twice, third time around, boys don't come back because it's torture and it's punishment. But if it's a 5-minute stint of sprint, into the nets, hit 100 balls, back 5-minute sprint into the nets, sweeping 10 balls, there's an activity in between the running. So mentally, they're not just focused on the fact that they're doing fitness, but it's fitness with an activity.
Absolutely.
And the second part of the question, the technical side of things. I think it's very important that in the off season is when we work on the bowling actions and the bat coming straight down and hitting mid off and mid on. And for me, those two work hand in hand because you get fit and you're also working on an aspect of a bowler or a batsman. So those two link up very well for me. I never have just a fitness session on its own, but I also never just have a session of throwdowns on its own. It's a fitness session followed by a conversation or a fitness session with drills in between, because I'm a big believer in that between myself and the player, between myself and the team, there's always got to be conversations that are going two-way.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so
and I think, Coach, that's such an important part, right? Because when you look at sort of the difference between an elite player and a player that's looking to sort of rise up to that level, is the difference in execution of that skill set when they're tired, right? And I think that combination of the two is absolutely fantastic. And I think that just brings us then to our second question, which is, what principles do you value most in a player?
Cool. It's a tricky one. But for me, again, I look at it outside of cricket, of the cricket norms. So one for me is honesty. Simply because we're working with school kids. And if you don't open up that door for communication between you and the player, you might lose one another somewhere along the lines. So they might end up lying to you because they'll tell you that they've got extra classes. Meanwhile, he's going to go spend the afternoon with his girlfriend. You know, for me, the open door policy is simply means that we can be honest with one another. If you've been to me for 5 sessions and you feel that it's a Friday and it's hot, come speak to me "Sir, can I get a break this Friday? I'll make it up to you next week, Monday. I really need to take my girlfriend out for ice cream." Outside of cricket, that relationship and that communication for me is very important, because then it builds trust between the two of us. It's not my way and my way only, it's our way together. So as much as I've drawn up a program saying, I want to see you 2 times a week, if you feel that on the Wednesday when you're meant to come and see me, you have to study for a maths test that's on Thursday, come to me, "Sir, I've got a test on Thursday. Can I come and see you on Friday rather?" And then I'll work around you and with your commitments. Once we start dishing out instructions to players, they then start learning just receiving alone, and they don't learn the art of actually approaching a coach and saying, "Coach, this is the issue I have with the schedule that you've got out. Can we find a way to work around it so that we both can fit into the program?" And that's, for me, honesty is a great deal of it. With that then comes commitment, because if there's a program that's in play and we're honest with one another, we've got to stay committed to the program that we have for us to get the best outcome of everything. So yeah, honesty and commitment for me are the 2 biggest things, because the rest will just take care of itself. We've got those 2 things on the same page.
I think that's brilliant, because for stuff like that is so important, especially when the kid leaves sort of the school playing environment, right? When they go play for their club or they get selected for a provincial side, a lot of what helps players stay performing at that level is that they've got self-discipline. And honestly, Coach, what you're talking about right there is that you are helping them develop the self-discipline to marry their skill and their personal life, right? The ability to balance the two is actually quite fantastic. So I think I love that strategy, when especially dealing with young players. And I think then sort of moving to the third question, which a lot of probably players are thinking about now, and especially through a lockdown, they would have maybe tried to do a few of these. What are 3 drills, according to you, that players can do at home just to help them get ready for the upcoming season?
So for me, it's very important that players, for me, understand that there's never just a batsman, there's never just a bowler in a cricket team. Because if you are a batter, you still need to field, and you need to field pretty well. And if you're a bowler, you are required to bat, but you also are required to field. So for me, when players are doing drills at home, it's important that they try and fit in a batting skill, a bowling skill, together with some sort of hand and eye coordination kind of drill. So for me, for batters, there's a simple drill which helps with the head, with what we all as coaches call the front foot movement, and the bats coming down straight. So it's basically a tennis ball tucked in under your chin. And if you're a right-hander, you're obviously facing your left-hand side, and you just lift up your head, the tennis ball drops, and as it bounces, you extend your front foot, bat coming down, and you can do that in front of a mirror. Well, that's what we know back in our days when we played. You do it in front of a mirror, and you do it 100 times. But now with those kids, they've got cell phones. They put a cell phone behind them or in front of them. They do it 10 times, and then they send it to you. They still find a way to get you involved, regardless. They'll do it 10 times, and they'll send the video to you. So what do you think? Back in our day, you did it the whole day for 3 days. You had no communication with the coach, no one. So you had to be your own coach. But technology now today has worked with us brilliantly, because they'll do it 10 times. They'll send it to you. You have a look and you say, "Listen, I'm happy with this. Maybe that front foot's going too far forward, or your head's going too far over the ball, or something like that." So there's always an interaction between myself and the player, whether they're doing the simplest of drills or not. And then second one for me, because you bat and you got to go field, tennis ball against the wall, catch 100 times. And then to complicate it a little bit, you throw with your left hand and you catch it with your right hand, throw with your right hand, catch it with your left hand. Or then if you've got a brother or sister, mom or dad that can help throw, they stand behind you and they throw against the wall, and you got to react and you got to catch that ball. For bowlers, very similar as well. Front of a mirror, cell phone in front of you, working on the front foot, getting up, getting down. If we trying to get that front leg braced, and that's what you got to work on in that video. You got to make sure you're stepping. You got to make sure that you're bracing that front leg and you're getting over it to generate that force and that power. And that's a gradual thing. You got to be patient, slow movements, making sure that if you're focusing on bracing the front leg, that's what we're focusing on. Because as young players and as coaches, once we stem down on one thing, we focus just on that one thing. But you got to make sure that as much as we're working on that brace leg, the head is still in the right place and the arm is still coming from pretty much like the highest release point possible. So we've got to incorporate everything, even though we're focusing on one thing.
Fantastic. I think we've got such a great blend between sort of the balance between personal life and the game, the relationship the players can look forward to having with you. And also now sort of the skill set around how they play, how they can begin to prepare on their own before they come see you with their running shoes and bats and gloves. So I think the last question that I have for you, which is essentially for those players that have the skills, you've worked with them in the past, they're looking to take it to that next level, is sort of what's the one quality you've seen that sort of all your top players that have been able to take it to the next level have? What's that one thing that you're like, you know what? If I could pick a string from all their hymns, this is the one common quality that my top players have had.
You see, when I saw this question again, I thought technically, but I thought again, no man. Thinking back from all the boys that have come through my hands, from other coaches, but through my hands, and have gone on to play cricket. The biggest thing that I know that they've got all in common is self-belief. I could close my eyes in a room full of cricketers, and I would know that that's my boy that's speaking. Simply because in my team environment, like I said previously, I say very little, if nothing at all. All my team meetings are driven by players, captain, vice captain, bowlers, batters, wicketkeeper. Everyone has the right to say something, and no one is wrong. Because if it's only me speaking, players keep quiet and they listen. But you never get to know what they're thinking. So for me, I've always opened up the door for a captain to speak, followed by a vice captain, the batters, the bowlers, everyone gets to talk. And they actually get comfortable talking around people in a changing room. And going forward, when they get selected for provincial sides, and there's something that they don't understand, they know that this is not uncomfortable for me. This is something that I'm used to doing. So putting my hand up and saying to the coach, listen, I don't understand A, I don't understand B, or what if I do this and I do that? The ability to ask questions and be confident and comfortable in speaking. And I think along the lines, we have in the past lost that as coaches, the ability to entrust our players to speak. Because for me, I learn a lot from when these boys speak. They give me so much information that I would not know if I didn't give them that room to speak. So yeah, for me, my players, they confidence and the ability to chat in a changing room, the ability to go to a coach and speak a one-on-one conversation with them. That's what for me I built. Because as much as we build cricketers, I also want to build a human being that can get out there and survive on his own.
That's fantastic. I mean, that's an all-rounded player, right? What you're talking about there is the kind of player that can captain a provincial side or a national side and have the confidence to rally guys around him, and essentially to achieve the goal, even if you're sitting on the sideline, not necessarily having too much to do with what they're doing on the field, but they can rally guys around them. So, Coach, thank you so much. I really appreciate your involvement in the game, your philosophies, and I think the way you are marshaling your troops to get a league title, to win competitions. I think it's not just a drill down, let's get it by all means necessary, but a holistic approach, also understanding that you're also building a young man and a young human being. So I think from the groundsmen, we really appreciate it. Parents, moms, dads, players, there you go. You heard it from the man himself. Thank you so much, Coach. We really appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me. And I look forward to doing this again in the near future. Thank you so much.
We'll be in touch. Better believe it.
Definitely.